Hello everyone! Cheers and happy Thursday. It's good to see you all again. So, every Thursday, as you know, Facebook Live and Nutrition Chat with wine. The wine is because I want to make nutrition fun for you. When I talk about nutrition so often, people don't want to hear it. It's not interesting really, and they think I'm going to tell them to go on a diet, and I'm really not. That's not what I'm here to do. I want to educate you and help you, benefit you, bring you something new that you haven't heard before, answer questions. So that's what this is all about. This is about me answering your questions, hopefully bringing you helpful information to help you eat healthier and be healthier and live a better life. So the wine is to make it fun and hopefully entice you to hang out with me for a couple minutes while I talk about food and nutrition and stuff. So cheers to you. Okay, so if you're a regular, you might notice that it's looking different around here. I'm house sitting for my parents, so I love it here. This is my childhood home. And it's so comfy here. I'm always like, guys, go out of town so I can hang out at your house for a week. But yeah, it's great here. I love it here. If you want to come over and visit me, you're welcome to. It's really nice here. It's comfy, cozy. There's a fire going in the other room. Yeah, I'm all set. There's a whole lot of wine, so anyways. All right, so tonight we're talking carb substitutes, and I thought this was a good video to do because this is such a popular topic right now. Every time I go on Pinterest, it's another carb substitute recipe, which is amazing. Most Americans we're eating way too many processed refined carbohydrates in the form of grains, usually. So I'm talking white pasta, white rice, white flour, white sugar. Those are all, I guess sugar's not a grain, but really highly processed, refined white grains and sugars. And you can see what's happening to our waistlines. We're blowing up. They're not good for us. So any way that we can sub out some of those carbohydrates for more plant whole foods, ones that contain tons of fiber, is amazing. And all the nutrients, anything that's white, usually the white grains, white sugar, has been stripped of all of its nutrients. So grain of wheat actually has some nutritious parts to it. It has fiber, it has nutrients, but when we refine it and make it white, we just strip everything off of it, and now we just have this plain thing that is very easy to add to other things, but which doesn't do our bodies any good. Anyways, so we're talking about subbing out some of those refined processed grains, but still eating real delicious food. We're just adding in nutrients, and hopefully we don't even know it because these taste so good. So the ones that I'm going to be sharing with you, I didn't reinvent the wheel here. I'm not telling you to get something that you've never heard of and go crazy and no. These are ones that most likely you've heard of. I'm just going to give you some different or new ways in which to use them. Hopefully new. I don't want you to be here and not get any new good information. So anyways, let's get started. Cheers. Cheers to you. Cheers Thursday. Thanks for being here. This glass looks massive. It really is. It's the size of my head when I hold it out here. Cheers. That's going to be the thumbnail for this video. I just know it. Okay. So first one, I bet you could guess it's cauliflower. Kind of obvious. But where we normally see it as cauliflower rice and now the cauliflower pizza crusts, I've got a couple other ways to use it. First, and I don't want to say that I pioneered the cauliflower movement, but no, I didn't. First is using it as a base for smoothies. So a couple years ago I started doing this, and now it's not really everywhere, but it is really awesome. So cauliflower, you remember when you got a vegetable tray as a kid, and that was like the one that you didn't want to eat because it doesn't taste like anything. Like cauliflower is so bland, which makes it perfect for smoothies and for a carb substitute. Really doesn't have any flavor of its own. So if I'm going to do like raw cauliflower, or if I'm going to do whole cauliflower unfrozen, I will steam it for a little bit to help it blend into my smoothie better. And we actually digest it a little bit better when it's lightly steamed. So that's helpful. But you can also just do like the frozen riced cauliflower. And the nice thing about that is it's frozen, so you can just keep it in your freezer. You don't have to worry about like going bad, especially if you're not a regular smoothie drinker. So cauliflower as the base for your smoothie. There is a cauliflower smoothie recipe coming up in April's Recipe of the Month Club. If you are not a member of Recipe of the Month Club, I don't know what you're doing. How are you not a member yet? It's not, you know, I say member, you just sign up and then you get the newsletter every month. Every month I do a video recipe, I do a grocery list, I do tips and tricks, kind of sums everything up into like one newsletter. I mean, of course you can find the video like on your own, you can just go to YouTube and watch it. But the benefit of being part of the newsletter is you get like the grocery list, you get the recipe and like hard copy, you get tips and tricks, and like everything's in there. So definitely sign up for Recipe of the Month Club. That it can be found on my Facebook page. So if you just go to, there's a button on there called Recipe of the Month, and then there's a sign up button. If you're on your phone, you'll probably see the sign up button. If you're on your computer, you can find the Recipe of the Month Club. But either way, really easy to sign up, and definitely recommend doing that. Okay, so cauliflower, using it as a base for your smoothie, whereas mostly we're using like a whole lot of fruit. The issue that I see people doing with smoothies is like a ton of fruit. And don't get me wrong, fruit is amazing, but we don't need that many carbs. Mostly we don't need that many carbs. Like, you know, 5-6 servings of fruit is like way too much. Like we need 1 serving of fruit. So the reason why I use cauliflower is because I'm basically just bulking my smoothie up with fiber, and then I can add 1 serving of fruit, and not my fiber's still, you know, thick and creamy, and it tastes like fruit still because the cauliflower doesn't have any flavor. So that's awesome. The other way is cauliflower hot wings. I'm sure you've seen this on Pinterest, but it is really good. So you just take your cauliflower. I like to, there's a couple different ways you can do it, but if you kind of roll it in like breadcrumbs and crisp it up in the oven and then toss it in your hot wing sauce, it's really delicious, and you will not miss the hot wings. I mean, hot wings are all about like the crispiness and the sauce anyways, so you're not missing anything if you still have a crispy base with sauce on it, really. And that's, you know, depending on the sauce you get, it's vegan, it can be gluten-free depending on the breadcrumbs you use, high fiber. It's pretty awesome. The other one is, oh, this is a good one. Cauliflower like sauce. So instead of doing a like an Alfredo sauce that has butter and flour as the base and then is thickened up with cream and all those things, you do steamed cauliflower, a little bit of roasted garlic. You could even do like an alternative milk, so like almond milk or cashew milk as the base, and blend that up in a blender or a food processor. And then at the end, like hit it with lemon juice and parsley or a little bit of chives, something to like jazz it up. Oh my gosh, it's so good. You won't notice that it is gluten-free, that it can be dairy-free, that it can be like high fiber, low carb. Awesome. And then of course you have to put it over your noodles. I'm just kidding. Put it over something that isn't noodles. If you just saved yourself on the sauce, don't put it over noodles. Maybe put it over, I don't know, lentil pasta. There we go. I love some lentil pasta. It's so good. Trader Joe's red lentil pasta. It's amazing. Okay, last one. the cauliflower crusts are super big. This is kind of along those lines, but cauliflower grilled cheese. Yeah. So not really that healthy, but we are going gluten-free and low carb. So we got that going for us. But yeah, a cauliflower grilled cheese where we're just making sort of a cauliflower crust, basically, but we're not adding pizza toppings. We're just like cutting it into squares, adding a little cheese, and then baking it again. Oh my gosh, it's so yummy. Not the healthiest because of all the cheese, but it's pretty good. I made like tomato soup and then had my cauliflower grilled cheese. That was so good. Definitely worth a try. It's kind of more of like a treat item, but definitely worth it. Okay, moving on. Next carb substitute, this one again is really obvious, spaghetti squash. But hey, it was last month's Recipe of the Month Club. We made spaghetti squash lasagna, low carb, gluten-free, high protein, low glycemic index. That's an awesome recipe. You have to try it. And that video is actually up on this page somewhere. But, so spaghetti squash, great carb substitute. I mean, of course, it's shaped just like spaghetti noodles. You can use it just like you would pasta, so putting like red sauce on top, or I love like garlic olive oil sauce with a little bit of Parmesan. One of my favorites. But that's not what I'm talking to you about. I have like some other ways to use it. So first and foremost, if you're familiar with pho or like a noodle bowl, like PHO is like I'm just gonna say Asian because I'm not sure exactly. It's like Vietnamese or Japanese, but like a noodle bowl. So instead of noodles, it's usually noodles, broth, like a really tasty thick broth. And then there's like a bunch of vegetables in there, and then sometimes there'll be like a soft-boiled egg or like beef or chicken or something in there as well. And oh my gosh, it's so good. If you haven't had pho, just Google it and find a pho place near you because it's really yummy. But what I'm trying to say is doing it with just spaghetti squash noodles instead of regular noodles, or some of them have rice in them, is a great option. So like a really delicious broth with some spaghetti squash noodles, some vegetables in there, and then the protein of your choice, kind of with an Asian flair, is amazing. It's so yummy, so filling. It's perfect for the cold weather that we're having here in St. Louis. It's really good. Definitely worth a try. Next, I really like this one. So, if you're making like, and I don't have to explain it, using spaghetti squash as like a crust for a muffin. It sounds weird, but take your spaghetti squash, so you bake your spaghetti squash, scrape out the noodles, and then mix them with a little bit of salt and pepper and Parmesan. Now smash that into a muffin tin and bake it again until it gets like really nice and crispy. And now you have like a cup in which you can put like anything. You could bake eggs in there, which I highly recommend. So like if you do like egg muffins for your breakfast for the week, this could be like your crust to go with it. So not only do you have like protein from the eggs, but you have tons of fiber and healthy carbs from the crust, the spaghetti squash crust. And oh my gosh, that's just amazing. You could also, I mean, you could put any type of batter in there. You could do like cornbread muffins in there or something. Yeah, but that's, so like a little muffin crust, and then you can fill it with any type of filling that you want. Next, just using spaghetti squash in place of potatoes. So, traditionally, or like the white potato is a lot like a white grain. It's not highly refined because it's still a whole food, but it is very high in carbohydrates. It's high glycemic index. So we're not getting like a whole lot of nutrients out of the white potato. Certainly not if we're like being weight conscious and that kind of thing. So spaghetti squash can behave a lot like, in certain things, a lot like a white potato. It can substitute for a white potato. So the two ways in which you can use spaghetti squash instead of a white potato is in a frittata. So that's the baked egg dish. So usually that has like a potato base in it. You can use spaghetti squash instead to kind of like hold everything together and thicken that up, and you will not know the difference. Once it's baked, spaghetti squash can get that same texture just like a white potato. It's really yummy. And then the other way is like a hash brown. So, you know, like hash brown cakes. Or like my dad used to call them potato pancakes. Just like shredded potatoes, and you kind of like flatten them into like a pancake. So you can do that with spaghetti squash. So you pre-cook your spaghetti squash. This is also great for like if you have a leftover spaghetti squash that you don't know what to do with. Or you're like sick of like spaghetti squash marinara or something. You can take your leftover cooked spaghetti squash, make it into little patties, and then cook it in a pan with a touch of oil. And you could even just use a spray oil. You wouldn't even need to like oil the pan because you don't necessarily want to be frying it. That's kind of negating the healthiness of it. So just making it into little patties, smashing it in a pan, and cooking it up, making it nice and crispy. Salt and pepper, of course. And now you have like a healthy hash brown that's much more low glycemic than a white potato, and higher in fiber, much more nutrient dense. So that's my spaghetti squash story. Also, did I already mention spaghetti squash lasagna? I think I did. But yeah, that recipe is on this Facebook page. It's also up on my YouTube page. So go find that, check that out. Because that's a really good recipe, and low carb, like I said. Good way to use spaghetti squash, like a new, different way. Okay, last and not least, zucchini. So again, not super noodle. Cheers to not super noodle. Not super new or different. We've all heard of like the zucchini noodle craze. I'm sure you've tried it. It is really good. I don't know if anyone's tried like the store-bought spaghetti squash noodle or zucchini noodles. I did that. They were not good. I mean, I got the frozen ones, and they just came out really soggy. That was not a great experience. If you do them fresh and you have a spiralizer, that's a way better option because they have their like crunch still. So when you cook them, they won't just be like completely mush. And yeah, don't do the frozen ones. If you can find them fresh at the store and they're like pre-noodled, that's a great option. I definitely recommend that. I always recommend, I tell people, if you're not worried about money, then don't sacrifice your time and just pay somebody else to do the work for you. So like I'll buy like pre-chopped onions, chopped and peeled garlic. I'll just like pay somebody to do the work for me because I don't have, like the time wise. But if you're going cheaper, get a noodle zoodler, which is just like a little thing you stick your zucchini in and you twist it and it comes out like noodles. That's a great option, and that's actually really pretty easy. Okay, anyways, so zucchini. What are we using that for other than zucchini noodles? And actually zucchini crusts is a thing. If you tried them, let me know. I tried one and it was really good, but I feel like that's just too, it's not different enough. So zucchini, I use zucchini as a base for my smoothies. So cauliflower and zucchini, those are my two go-to smoothie bases, which are both awesome. Again, zucchini really on its own does not have much of a taste. I mean, and we might not necessarily even know that because we never just eat a piece of like raw zucchini. But yeah, zucchini's pretty bland and it's very soft. It's got a lot of water in it. So adding it to your smoothie just as the base to help it be creamy and smooth is perfect. It works like a dream and you would never know. And I will just buy a bunch of zucchini and then stick it in the freezer and then I use frozen zucchini chunks, so I don't need to add more ice. So my smoothie's even more thick and creamy, and it's amazing. So zucchini as a smoothie base, zucchini fries. Oh my gosh, have you tried this? They're so good. So, of course, we're not frying them, we're just baking them, but picking a breadcrumb. If you're gluten-free, go for like a gluten-free. So more like traditional breadcrumbs are not going to be gluten-free, but you can actually make your own. When I'm cooking for my clients and I need to use breadcrumbs, I just buy gluten-free bread, and then I toast it. I'll toast up the whole loaf in the oven until it's nice and dry. It's kind of what breadcrumbs are, is like stale bread. So it's just really dried, like out bread. And so it's nice and dry, and then I just pulse it in a food processor, and now I have my own breadcrumbs. So that's a really easy way to like do gluten-free breadcrumbs. So get your breadcrumbs, dip your spaghetti, I keep wanting to go back to that spaghetti squash. Dip your zucchini in some egg, and then in your breadcrumbs, salt and pepper, of course, maybe a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and then you just bake it up, and it has nice, like, crispy, crunchy outside. The only thing is you don't want to overbake. If you overbake, the water will get released from the zucchini, and it will get really soft. So you don't want to overbake. You just want to, until it gets, like, nice and brown. Hi, Kelsey! Hi! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you this weekend. I can't wait. Tomorrow, oh my god, I'm so excited. Okay, off topic. Okay, so Kelsey, have you ever made zucchini fries? I was just telling everyone how to make zucchini fries. They're, yeah, they're very good. Okay, so zucchini, great base for smoothies. Yeah, we should make them sometime together. Next time I come down to visit. I'm going to tell you something big tomorrow, when I see you, and that might be meaning like a really soon visit. So, woo! Okay, zucchini fries are, zucchini boats. Have you tried zucchini boats? This is actually one that I make this for my clients. It's on my menu regularly, actually. So you take a whole zucchini, slice it in half, and core it out. Just basically scrape out the seeds, and then you stuff it with something amazing, and you bake it. But it's a great way to like have an amazing stuffing. So like I've done marinara, like ground turkey marinara with like a little bit of cheese on top, and that's so good. And then like a Mexican one, so like a little bit of, I usually don't do ground beef, but you know, you could do ground beef, some beans, some salsa, and then stuff your spaghetti squash, top it with a little bit of cheese, and bake that up. It's pretty yummy. And that's just a great way you're like adding a whole vegetable to your meal, and you're not even realizing it. You're not tasting it. It's not like you're just eating plain broccoli or something. So it's a great way to just add extra fiber, extra nutrients to your meal. Zucchini boats are awesome. And then, this is like a throwback, an oldie but a goodie. I think somebody came up with this a really long time ago, so this isn't part of like the low carb, like healthier carb movement, but using zucchini in baked goods is awesome. Zucchini is really high in water, so it's a wonderful substitute for, actually, we're talking about carb substitutes, but in baking, it's a really good substitute for fats. So mainly like butter, but like zucchini bread, I'm sure my mom used to make that, but now my mom makes like zucchini cookies, she makes like zucchini muffins, she makes everything like has zucchini in it. I'm like, what's this green thing? She's like, yeah, it's zucchini. So you can really add it to like a ton of baked goods and take out some of the fat, or take out some of the, I was gonna say eggs, those are a binder though. But take out some of the fat from your baked goods and add in some zucchini, because it adds moisture, it adds like the texture, kind of brings that texture back that you'd be missing otherwise. So shred a little zucchini into your next batch of cookies, and don't tell your husband. Nobody will know. All right. that kind of rounds up my evening of carbohydrate substitutes. Like I said, Recipe of the Month Club. I've actually got, so April is going to have two carbohydrate substitute recipes. What are we in March? I'll be talking more about March next week, but more good recipes. So Recipe of the Month Club, definitely sign up if you haven't. Oh yeah, yes, we should. We should make some boats and zucchini fries. Cheers to that. But yeah, Recipe of the Month Club, definitely sign up. There's no reason for you not to. You get a recipe, you get a grocery list, you get tips and tricks, you get like a whole video. It's pretty awesome. Other than that, every Thursday I'm here. I love it when you guys bring your wine and hang out with me and ask me questions. That's what this is for. It's for you, not for me. So I don't want to just sit here and talk to myself. I want you guys to be involved and ask questions and like things that you're curious about in the nutrition world. I'm happy to shed some light on, hopefully. Or just give you like new and interesting ways to eat healthier. All right, cheers to you and happy Thursday, and I will see you next week. Bye.